I eat mindlessly often and believe you do too. Eating and at the same time talking, reading, emailing, and for some of us even driving, all really bad habits for our brain and our overall health. In this lecture, I will go over some techniques that you can incorporate starting today to introduce mindful eating in your life. You will learn how to appreciate your food, senses, people who produced it, etc. This will also connect with the gratitude, which we know, based on multiple research, helps us become happier and even more successful. This doesn't mean that every meal you will eat mindfully. For most of us, this is impractical. But even if you practice few minutes a day, it will change your life and somehow will take a turn into other areas of your life. You may start eating slower, which will in turn help you eat less. Only if this is what you want. It will improve your metabolism and help you stay in the present moment. Most of us, most of the time, eat mindlessly, not even realizing how eating mindfully can have tremendous benefits for our health and overall well-being. I am not saying it is possible to eat mindfully all the time. It is not. But let's give it a try just for some time. First, I will explain this exercise and then you will need to practice it. Remember, without trying, you will receive no benefits. Knowledge by itself will just help you to have that knowledge. However, as we often say in our programs, it will not change anything in your life. Mindfully eating can really be practiced anytime, anywhere. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn deserves the credit for introducing what's called mindfully eating a raisin exercise that became a standard. Exercise that almost everyone is teaching these days. Another one you may run into is a mindfully eating of a piece of chocolate. In one of my workshops, I talked how my wife and I have a piece of dark chocolate every night after dinner. We store the chocolate in the basement, particularly in my wine cellar, so that it is far away from us. You may remember from our habits program the 20-second rule. Keeping it 20 seconds away, it makes it less likely that we will eat more than we should. Anyway, when I told my program participants that I go after dinner to cut a small square of chocolate for each of us, one of the program participants particularly asked if I take more while I'm down in my cellar. My wife was in the room, and I said, I must admit, I often do. But I digressed. So, how do you eat mindfully? Next time you have a meal, try this. Ideally, you will be by yourself, unless you can convince your partner or whoever is eating with you to do the same. This can be during any meal. Think about water, sun, and all other elements necessary to nourish and produce this piece of food. Think of a weather condition this piece of fruit has to go through. Fruit, food, anything that you eat. Think of people who harvested it, their friends and family. What did they do? They probably make a living doing this. Think about the living they might have with this job. Do they enjoy what they do? Think of people who transported from the farm to your store or another place between the farm and your store. Think about people in your store, in your supermarket. Some people picked it up from the truck when it arrived. Others, or maybe the same folks, put it on the shelves. Some marked the price, etc. Until finally you picked it up and brought it to the cashier. And then the cashier. Once you had that piece of fruit or food and brought it to the cashier, think of that person. Think of the person who you pay. They have a cash, credit card, it doesn't really matter. Think about your feet that brought it, help you bring that food to your car. Think about transportation vehicle, or maybe simply how did you carry it at home? And then what happened? Who else was involved? Did it go to the fridge first? Did you cut it? You prepared it for yourself or someone else did that for you? If you think about it, and please do, how long did it take for this piece of food, fruit, vegetable to get to your table? It probably took years. And many people to have this finally arrived at your table. Now, after all these steps and all your preparation work, the food is finally prepared, cooked and ready to eat. Smell it. Look at the shape. And start eating slowly. Slowly. Feel it in your mouth. Enjoy it. Think about how grateful you are to have this piece, this beautiful piece of food in your mouth. And just be grateful. Now remember that these are just some of the directions, and as you listen, I am not asking you to ask the exact questions and think same thoughts. This is really just to give you an idea how you can eat mindfully and what does it really mean to eat mindfully. So that in the future, hopefully, just one meal, try, especially if you can do it by yourself. And as I said earlier, if you can do this with your partner or somebody who eats meal with you anyway, that would be wonderful. Many of the places and retreats that are all over the world, people will come in there and usually they have what they call a silent breakfast. And people will come into one room, nobody talks, and you just go silently. You pick up your food, you sit down, and you eat. For many people, that is really not going to happen for many reasons. These places are not inexpensive to go to, number one. And number two, not all of us really want to do this. Not all of us, and you probably do not want to go and spend days or weeks in place like this. And you don't need to. That is the point. You do not need to go to a place like this, to special retreat, to try to do the mindful eating. It is very simple. You can do it at home. You can do it in the restaurant. You can do it, in a, like fast food chain. It really doesn't matter. With a little piece of bread, with a little piece of chocolate, with a small glass of water, anything that you take, you can give it a shot and try to eat mindfully. Again, just give it a minute or two. This is not something that we can do constantly for every meal, but trying it and just eating mindfully once a while will bring us to the present moment. And that is what mindfulness is all about. See you in the next lecture.